Just a little bit of the Flaming Gorge. We've never been there, but maybe someday we'll make it. This is just off of 80 going to Green River, but it's really pretty. This is like the end of it here. It gets really colorful inside the park from what I've heard from other people. Just thought you might like to see a little bit of Wyoming on the road. A little more of Wyoming on the road. Part of the Flaming Gorge. It's really pretty. I was going to take some video outside of the Wyoming Territorial Prison, but unfortunately they decided to rip the whole street out in front of the prison, so you can't get there. So I have pictures from last time we were here, and I'm going to post those with, we were going to go to the museum that's supposed to be across the street from it, but that you can't get there either. So I will post the pictures of the prison that we took 2 years ago, and we will be leaving Rawlins tomorrow morning, and we will be in a little tiny town called Casey, Wyoming. Population like 95. It's real tiny. So I'll talk to you soon. This is the museum. We just had to find a way around all the construction in front of the prison. So we're going to go into the prison, to the museum now, and look around. Anything interesting, I will record. It's kind of similar to the one my mom and dad had, that my sister Maureen has now. There's another one over here. It's kind of a cool museum. They got a lot. Oh, look at all the antiques, Jody. Look at all the antiques.
Wow. She's way ahead of her time in hairstyle.
Maybe they're trying to say that the wind was blowing through or something. Oh, look at Okay to Touch stereoscope. That's pretty cool. A what are those little ones called that we used to watch when we were little?
Kaleidoscope.
Viewmasters. Viewmasters.
Oh, yeah.
Some stuff you can't videotape. They won't let you. Thomas Edison. I came here to see the solar eclipse. Is this the military room? Oh, that's kind of cool. Carried by John in Civil War. Old nurse's outfit. Doctor's office. Here's a nice sign. Communicable disease within. Military trunks, uniforms. That boy back there, it says it was found on the Washington coast after Pearl Harbor. That's kind of cool. The metal fragment is supposed to be from Hiroshima, Japan. That would be after the bomb. That's some very interesting things. German helmet. Can you see the revolver in there? It's probably too much glare, but it's a Colt Dragoon revolver. Beautiful piece of stained glass. They do have many antiques in here that makes me want to load them in the truck and take them home with me. But I think I would get in serious trouble. Look at this armor. China cabinet. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pieces. Look at that old telephone switchboard. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. This is the garage. It looks like a lot of people's garages. Jammed full of stuff. Post office. Delivery windows. A printing press. Wow, look at that printing press. And there is a very large, is that an elk? I'm not sure. Honey? Elk or a moose? No, that's not a moose. It has to be an elk.
It's an elk.
Washing machine. Wouldn't you like to use that, huh? A baby carriage. A mangle. Oh, firemen's. Got the lieutenant here. And here's Dad's favorite things. Adding machines and cash registers. But that's a hell of a cash register, I'll tell you what. Lots of saddles. Another fire truck. That looks like a ladder truck. Those bottles they used to put stuff in to put out the fires, right? They were like the first fire extinguishers. The blizzard of 1949. 6. Dropped to minus 51 degrees. Holy Moses. Winds reached 80 miles an hour. Snowdrifts grew to 30 feet high and 400 yards long and required dynamite to clear. Wow. La France fire truck. Bought in 1920 by the Rawlins and by the Casper Fire Department. They bought it for $250, Rawlins, in the 1950s. It stayed active till the late 60s and was officially retired in 1980. Well, there's a potbelly stove for you. Kind of looks like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang before they got it fixed. It's an Essex 1921 Hudson Essex racer. Yeah, I need to take a break here. There's a moose. It's a big moose. Bighorn sheep, antelope. This is a heck of a So safe there, boy. Heck of a safe. You can sit in here and take a picture of yourself in the sleigh. Oh, look at that stereo. Horse snowshoes. I bet they needed them here. Buggy. Makes me think of Little House on the Prairie and Doc Baker. Sheep wagon. Basically the first campers used on the range to, when they were 1881, cook, sleep. Picture of Butch Cassidy and his Wild Bunch. 1901. It's actually a Murphy bed. Very old. The front comes down and pulls out into a bed. The story behind I've been working on the railroad and a movie, Union Pacific by Cecil B. DeMille. Okay, we had a really good time in there. Very informative museum. Bought some goodies. Dad got a new hat. It says Wyoming. And I'm going to tell you the story of Big Nose George because they wouldn't let us videotape any of that. So, you guys, I'll post this as soon as I can. Okay, I told you I was going to tell you the story of Big Nose George. At the Carbon County Museum, they won't let you videotape any of the things that they have there, but they are very weird things that they have there. And the story of Big Nose George is very weird. I'm going to read it to you from this website for weird and strange stories, and here's how it goes. America folklore is rich in myths and legends. Everyone's heard of Paul Bunyan and John Henry, but has anyone heard of Big Nose George? George Francis Worden, aka Big Nose George, was a horse thief and a train robber in the 1800s. George and his gang were active in the Powder River country, robbing pay wagons and stages of cash shipments and relieving prisoners of their money and jewelry. One day in 1878, they planned to derail and subsequently rob a train. A section crew for the train company had ridden ahead to inspect the tracks. Seeing that what the outlaws had done, the crew was able to stop the train, fix the tracks, and go about their business with no one getting hurt. George escaped and ran off to perform crime elsewhere. But his mouth was as big as his nose. After a bit of bragging about the things he'd done, George was captured and sentenced. Sorry, I got to scroll down.
You really suck as a narrator.
And sentenced. I really suck at narrating. Sentenced to hanging. This is where Big Nose George stories gets weird. George's date of execution was set, but he had no interest in being killed by the state. He tried to escape, and in the process, he attacked and severely injured one of his jailers. The inept criminal that he was, his escape attempt was stopped quickly, and he was led back to his cell at gunpoint. But the citizens of the town decided that they were going to take matters into their own hands. I'm going to start paraphrasing because I don't want to get a copyright infringement. The angry mob was about as good at lynching George as George was at crime. It took 3 attempts before they finally got him hung. After he was hanging there for a few hours, they said, well, he must really be dead. The undertaker brought him down and proceeded to bury him. But as the legend goes, his nose was so big that it interfered with the closing of the casket. So they had to use excess force and nails to keep it shut. Before the final nail was put in the coffin, a couple of local doctors, Thomas McKee and John Osborne, stole George's body and hid it in a whiskey barrel. According to Eileen Hansen, an assistant at the Carbon County Museum, where the Big Nose George exhibit can be found, Dr. McGee wanted to study his brain, and I just have to scroll down again, but my thing does not want to scroll down. He wanted to study the brain because his wife was criminally insane from several horseback riding accidents, and he was hoping he was going to find a cure for his wife. While grave robbing in the name of science may not be the best course of action, it's certainly understandable. And their attempt at research explains why George's body was taken and his brain was cut into. But what about turning his nose skin into shoes? Dr. Osborne takes credit for that fashion statement. First, he molded a death mask of George's face using plaster of Paris. Next, he skinned George's thighs and chest and sent the skin to the tannery with instructions to turn the skin into a pair of shoes and a medicine bag. This guy was out of his flippin' tree. So anyway, to make a long story short, the top half of his head, where his brain was, had been removed, and they found it years later. It was being used as an ashtray, the skull. And the doctor wore the shoes to his inaugural ball when he became the governor of the state of Wyoming. And there you go for the story of Big Nose George. And you can see the shoes and the death mask and all of it at the museum that we were at. Unfortunately, they would not let us photograph it. But that's the story of Big Nose George.